My boyfriend's brother kept hitting on me behind his back and confessed his love to me. When we caught him scrolling through my private pictures, he got disowned. I've been dating Cody for a while now, and he invited me to visit his grandmother for our week off. I was nervous about meeting his extended family, but excited to spend time with them. When we arrived, I met his brother, who's currently living with their grandma. Something felt off about him from the start, but I figured he was just shy. During our first dinner together, Jeff kept staring at me while I talked about my pre-med courses, and his eyes would drift down to my chest, then back up when he thought I wasn't watching. When I mentioned how Cody and I met at the library, Jeff actually scoffed and muttered something about Cody getting lucky, which made everyone at the table uncomfortable. I didn't want to cause drama during my first visit with Cody's family, so I pretended not to hear it. Cody woke up the next morning with a migraine so severe he couldn't even open his eyes, and while I was getting him water and medication, Jeff appeared in the doorway watching me take care of his brother with this strange expression on his face. "You should come to the mall with me and let him rest," Jeff said in a way that didn't really feel like a suggestion. I wanted to stay with Cody, but he squeezed my hand and encouraged me to go, because he thought his brother was trying to be welcoming and make me feel like part of the family. At the mall, Jeff kept finding reasons to touch me by putting his hand on my back to guide me into stores, or brushing his fingers against mine when pointing at window displays. When we stopped at the pet store to see puppies, he stood behind me so close I could feel him breathing on my neck while I played with them. The whole time he kept saying things like, "You're too good for this family," which made me increasingly uncomfortable. I thought about texting Cody but didn't want to worry him while he was sick. After we returned from the mall, Jeff's behavior became even more bizarre as he would leave any room I entered, but then I'd catch him lurking in hallways watching me. His mother noticed the strange dynamic and asked if something had happened between us, while his grandmother looked concerned about the obvious tension in the house. When I finally confronted him directly and asked if I'd somehow offended him, he just stared at me with this intensity that made my skin crawl. "No, you're perfect," he said before rushing away like he'd revealed too much. The next day, I suggested we all go to the grocery store together, making sure Cody felt well enough to come. Cody agreed, but fell asleep in the back seat while Jeff kept adjusting his rearview mirror, and I realized he'd angled it specifically to watch me. The silence in the car was suffocating, so I moved to the front seat to make conversation and try to ease the weird tension. "I wish I'd met you first because we would have been perfect together," Jeff said suddenly while gripping the steering wheel. My whole body tensed as I tried to process what he'd just said to me about his own brother's girlfriend. I forced a laugh that came out shaky and high-pitched while saying we would have been good friends, but his knuckles went white on the wheel and his jaw clenched. The drive back was silent except for my heart pounding in my ears, and once we got to the house, I stayed glued to Cody's side for the rest of the day. Valentine's Day arrived with Jeff moping around the house making pointed comments about being alone, while Cody and I tried to be considerate by barely touching all day. Jeff found ways to constantly insert himself between us, literally pulling a chair between ours at dinner and following me to the kitchen when I got up for water where he stood uncomfortably close. That evening, Cody burst into our room with an expression of pure rage mixed with disgust that I'd never seen on his face before. "Pack your things because we're leaving right now," he said while already throwing my clothes into my bag. "What happened?" "Cody, you're scaring me," I said as he continued packing frantically. He wouldn't speak until we were in the car with his bleeding knuckles gripping the wheel and his whole body shaking with anger. Jeff had confessed his feelings for me, claiming we had a special connection and that I was too good for Cody, but then came the part that made me physically ill. He went through my phone while I was in the bathroom and looked at your photos, the private ones we took last month. Cody's voice cracked with betrayal and disgust. My mind flashed to those photos where I was wearing the lingerie Cody had gotten me for Christmas, the ones where I was posed on our bed in nothing but black lace, images meant only for my boyfriend's eyes. The thought of Jeff scrolling through those intimate shots, seeing me exposed and vulnerable in ways only Cody should ever see, made bile rise in my throat. Every creepy interaction and lingering stare suddenly made horrible sense in the worst possible way. From our hotel room, I sent Jeff one message that said everything I needed to say. "You violated both of us in the worst way because those photos were private and meant only for Cody. I love your brother, not you, and you've destroyed any chance of family relationships. Get professional help before you hurt someone else." Cody called his grandmother the next morning to explain why we'd left so suddenly, and I heard her gasping on the phone as he detailed what Jeff had done with barely controlled anger in his voice. She was mortified and apologetic, promising Jeff would be out by the end of the week.